Welcome back to the answers to my AMA session. I posted a video where you guys got to ask anything you wanted, and I am here to answer it. With a couple exceptions, because a few people stepped out of bounds. But hey, I guess that's my fault for not actually, for not actually specifying those limitations. So ask me almost anything. Doesn't have as good of a ring to it. So I answered as many as I could in an hour. Here we are again. I am in my second recording session for these. I have just answered if I looked up to someone during my time on YouTube. So now it is time to move on, and we will continue the questioning. A bit of crossover between Transformers and Dead Space movies. If a Transformer scanned one of the artifacts that created the necromorphs from Dead Space with its T-Cog, so it could turn into a working model, would Transformer learn what it is and why it does what it does? So I'm not familiar with Dead Space. I'm not a horror movie guy at all. I don't think they would actually learn what it is and why and what it does. RC in Prime mentioned it most, where she said, where Jack asks something about motorcycles because she turns into one, and she said, she didn't know, she asked Jackie, like, don't you know how the engine works? And she said, no, you're a human. Can you make me a small intestine? Good point. So no, I don't think they would. I think they just turn into it, hide as it, and hope they're doing a good job. The whole Transformers collaborative, which crossover would you like to see? Answered it in part 1, but that's a different video, so we can answer it again. Ninja Turtles. They brokered a deal to do the Power Ranger Ninja Turtles. I feel like they absolutely should have figured out some way of doing a transforming party wagon, a transforming foot module. Can I get a remold of like Cybertron Primus as the Technodrome? How cool would that be? I didn't even think of that last time. Oh my god, that would be so good. He turned into like a giant shredder or Krang. Oh my god, I want call up Grimlockamus. We've got a project. Why has Hasbro never done a Bumblebee figure that transforms into a Bumblebee? Because they lost the trademark during Beast Wars. Silly people. No, because, I think that's just too on the nose at that point. I don't. If you had to pick 10 characters you'd like to see get upgraded figures for Legacy, what would they be and why? Very, very long question for an AMA. We've gotten so many of the ones that I have already wanted. I've said before, a lot of them are outside of G1. It'd be, Armada Hotshot. Armada Sideways, I think, absolutely deserves another round as a figure. There's other toys. Like, here's the thing, is that when we get into, like, updated figures, we're getting into realms where I think, like, the toys today are made so cheap and with and so much worse just because of budget reasons that they can't surpass the old toys, especially if you talk like the Cybertron line. So it's a catch-22 here. Like, you can get a new figure, but is it necessarily an upgrade? No, sometimes it's not. I felt that way about Siege Optimus trying to be Cybertron Optimus. Didn't work. If you could rewrite Beast Machines, how would you go about it? That's definitely something we could do as another video. It's like a let's fix Beast Machines type thing. I touched a little bit on it previously, as I would have had the Beast Wars continue. Beast Machines I could still as a concept, but not transorganic. I feel like that was the wrong direction, especially because, when you bring about organic Cybertron, you pretty much just like you pretty much just like how am I doing? No. I think you like put off too many long-term fans that way. You know what? My brain froze up on that one. If I had to fight 5 Hornswoggle-sized Brian Cages or 1 Brian Cage-sized Hornswoggle, which would you choose? For those not in the wrestling, no. Hornswoggle is a dwarf wrestler. He is a very small man, and Brian Cage looks like what a bulldozer would look like if he was made of flesh. Brian Cage size Hornswoggle. No, I would take my odds on 5 Hornswoggle-sized Brian Cages, because while the man would still be a machine, he is a very small machine, and I have legs for kicking. See, I'm sure it's already an idea of yours. I'm curious your thoughts about O's 10th anniversary movie. Yep, we mentioned that before. I've got a whole rant raring to go for that. Similar Megaforce, where would you say, oh, you think it would change? I don't want to do it as a repair, as like a let's fix. I want to do it as like a review first, and then like down the road when you can do it the other way. If you had the opportunity to do so, would you put the deaths of Skids and Mudflat back in Dark of the Moon? No, because that would require them to have screen time. I know. No. Leave them out. Leave them out. Favorite figure? We've gone over this. Cybertron Optimus Prime. Favorite character? We're going into the realm of Transformers. It is somewhere in between Blitzwing, Dinobot, and Black Arachnia. Favorite YouTube toy reviewer? I'll be honest, I really don't watch any other reviewers. Like some of the ones I end up watching the most are like Wotafa out of Japan. If I need to see some Kamen Rider Sentai toy. You'll excuse me if I hydrate during this video. I'm filming it right after part 1, so my voice is still a little bit haggard. What would you think it would win a battle royal of all the different versions of Megatron, including comics, cartoons, movies, and even video games? Ground rules, they can be in their fully upgraded forms, like Transmetal 2 Megatron for Beast Wars, but any combining with another Transformer is prohibited, such as Tidewave becoming armor for Armada Megatron. Though whether something along the lines of a Minicon is allowed, I'll leave up to you. I think Minicon would be allowed because it is part of their being in Armada, at least only to their own Minicon, though. So Megatron would be given Leader 1, but that is it. Otherwise, they are not able to access their full power. So that would be unfair. So here's the thing. Brilliant as Beast Wars Megatron is, he is severely outsized and underpowered compared to the giants that are, your standard Transformers. If we're doing every single version of Megatron, it would either be IDW Megatron pre-face turn, when he was still like a take no prisoner villain, or animated Megatron. Animated Megatron is a very powerful figure and very, very calculating himself. I think like one of those has the best shot there. How do we feel about your old 2010 best of decade list? Do you still stand by a lot of the picks and you have changed your mind about some? I actually still really like that list. Still really, really like that list. I like thinking back to it now. No, I don't think I don't think there's any I would really change. I think I really do. I like how it stands. Favorite genre of music? The earliest decade that you still like music from it. I know I like 80s rock. You tend to like what you grew up with, I guess. But there's stuff out of the 70s and like I think even the 60s that I've heard that I thought sounded really good. So like I don't really I like music from a lot of different times. See, have you ever been disrespected as an adult toy collector in public by complete strangers? Are you told to grow up? You shouldn't be buying toys. What did your parents think about it? No, I never had that in public. There was a time where I was embarrassed to be going through Walmart and picking out toys and walking up to the counter with them. I learned very quickly that I'm an adult and it's none of their business. If I'm too old to be playing with toys, I'm also too old to be told what to do. So guess what? I play with toys. Ha ha. My parents have always been fine with it. I mean, especially like where I am at right now in life, like toys have made me rather successful in life. So, it all kind of worked out. My dad was always a big kid. Like he liked seeing all the new toys that came out. Like he liked Transformers when it first came out. So like, he was kind of like a big kid himself. So he's kind of like the reason I was into toys for as long as I was anyway. As the plastic addict, I believe your targets of punishment were well deserved, but is there a toy out there reviled by most of the fandom that you really that you are really into or at least have a soft spot for. So there's toys that I can admit that are bad, but I still like them. That's what Energon Wing Saber was. I'm trying to think if there's one that is like, oh, no, I know exactly what it is. It's Energon Ironhide. I've never had so many requests for Plastic Addict as I did for Energon Ironhide that I adamantly disagreed with. I think a lot of people took his role from the show and imprinted it on the toy itself, and they got hung up over minor problems. And this is what I said in the last video. If Plastic Addict is about anything, it's about showing you how bad a toy really can be and how good you've got it, and not to let little things completely ruin the experience for you. It's not the toy that has the problem. You're fixating too much on a small thing. So when people point out, oh, his head isn't hidden in vehicle mode, you don't have any idea how many Transformers did that over the years, and you're just now going to pick at it? Oh no, that big thing over his what? You mean his floodlights? His floodlights that make sure his gimmick stays out of the way of the rest of the toy. Did you play with Cliff Jumper and Jetfire? Did you see how hampered those toys were and how awkward they were because their gimmick boxes and power boxes were like smack dab in the middle of them? Ironhide didn't have to do that, and Ironhide came out being one of the best in that size class. So yeah, Ironhide was good. If you did a new top 10 WTF Kamen Rider video, what would remain from the original video? Also, what would be some of the new ones? I can't think of any new ones offhand. Like, I'm trying to, Alpha, Bravo might have shown up on it. See, part of the top 10 WTF Kamen Rider moments was to also kind of introduce people to a lot of the concepts of Kamen Rider, so these clips are very specifically picked. It's not just a matter of, like, there's more to add, or like these clips are weirder, so those have to go in now. It's very much like balanced. I think the list is fine. I don't think it would really like change the list or add anything else. Let's see, will it go into more detail on canceled shows like Transformers Heroes, the animated before animated? There's not a whole lot to talk with Transformers Heroes. It was more conceptual than anything. I don't know if I could get a full video out of like what Transformers Heroes was supposed to be. Because as far as I know, we only had, like, 2 toys that we saw. And that was, like, it. And also, what was some... would you do more stuff regarding Mega Man? If people watched it, yeah. Like, I would love to do an entire Mega Man retrospective. I would love to just, like, dedicate a month to just, like, every few days putting out a new part in, like, a Mega Man, like, look back and my personal experiences and thoughts on the Mega Man franchise in general. But gaming stuff has never worked on this channel, ever. Many times as I tried, no matter how many times I try to get people to like share in those loves of mine, it never works. So I'm always very hesitant to do anything video game based. If you were gifted an original Quake wave that was complete and unbroken, would you try to transform it, keep it, or possibly sell it? If I'm gifted something, especially if it's from a fan, I try everything I can not to sell it. Now, there have been exceptions in the past. I always try to ask if it's okay if I were to sell it. There's a lot of times where I've had my fun with a toy. I can't keep it around any longer because I'm not really appreciating it or enjoying it or even displaying it. It's time for it to move on to someone who could really get the most out of it. So there are times where that happens, but I try to hang on to everything I'm gifted. When I try to transform it or keep it, I wasn't even aware it was like fragile. Is it like a thing that you shouldn't transform it? I don't know. I always felt Quake Wave had a really bad reputation because it came out so close to Masterpiece Shockwave, and Masterpiece Shockwave just turned out better. Let's see. If there was a dream non-TF toy from any movie, TV show, comic, what would it be? A dream non-TF toy from any movie, TV show, comic. So, me being an 80s movie buff, I am still shocked that the robot from Short Circuit Johnny Five. Never got a toy, considering the second movie's B-plot was about Johnny Five getting toys made. Who failed the marketing department there? What was the riskiest collectible purchase you have made? Well, okay, the way that's phrased makes it sound like I bought something stolen. like I'm purchasing in like shady black market stuff now. I think the riskiest collectible purchases are like buying big things out of Japan, because Lord knows what's going to happen during shipment. Anytime you get something expensive loose off of eBay, it's a big risk. Like I had a problem. I bought the Kuga belt off of eBay, the original DX, and the seller failed to warn me about a lot of the problems it had. Like some of the lights didn't work anymore. So that was a whole runaround. Dude sent me another vintage toy as a vintage Sentai toy as an apology. That one was broken too. So like there was a one time where like, nope, I'm just walking away. I'm not leaving you feedback. No, I'm done with you. I'm done with you. But yeah, like those are more of the risks, I think. Like it's not like I've intentionally bought a GPS toy or anything like that. Can you do Transformers animated toy line tier list? I could if I did it by mold. If I included all the repaints, that would also be like a lot. That'd be way too many to do as a tier list. But I like the idea. Keep that in mind. Would you review Transformers animated like you are doing with Beast Wars? If people pitched into the Patreon enough, I would. I need to reshuffle it because I feel like animated should be closer. I feel like animated should be closer to the current level that the Patreon's at. And then like G1 has to come later, because G1 it's a 98 episode beast to go through. So that one's got to be like way up there in order to be like worth the effort. See, we've seen Star Trek, Back to the Future, and even My Little Pony crossover with Transformers. What other Transformers crossover stuff would you like to see? Both for the sake of seeing a toy like Gigawatt or Ectotron, or just experience the story itself, like ROM or Star Trek. I feel like they dropped the ball by not having the mask crossover be more. So I feel like there is a big thing about humans attempting to create their own Transformers to fight off the alien menace, even if it is like specifically Decepticons. And that's what Mask is. It is them adapting human vehicles with Transformer technology. They can't create new life. They can't create robotic life, but they can create vehicles that transform into things that are capable of combat and capable of fighting off, these alien robots. And even in something that starts as a Decepticon deterrent starts to splinter when a few from Mask turns out they kind of agree with the Decepticons and start forming Venom. I feel like there was a lot there you could have done, you didn't do. And as far as like full-on crossovers with like really big things, like why haven't we seen Power Rangers yet? Like that seems like blatantly obvious. Power of the Prime Dinobots repainted as the Megazords, or how about the Dino Megazord repainted as the Dinobots? No one thinks about doing the flip side of it. Let's see. Okay, if you create your own original Super Sentai Power Rangers Kamen Rider series, what would the theme be? What would the plot be like? What would the gimmick be? There is one. That is definitely another video. I don't know for Kamen Rider. Someone asked me for Kamen Rider. Super Sentai, I actually do have ideas that I would do for like what I feel like the franchise needs to do to freshen itself up. That is a whole other video. If you could pick a Sentai series to adapt to Power Rangers that hasn't been adapted yet, which one would you pick and why? And what changes would you make, if any? It would definitely be Q Ranger, which I'm shocked they haven't done because there's so much action figure potential. And usually they love having plenty of action figures to release. I know there was some reason. Oh, yeah. They weren't doing it because the size of the cast would have to be enormous in order to properly do it. Because like it's like, what is it, like 13 Rangers by the end of the series? I feel like you could do it. I feel like that's a perfect one to do as an animated series. It'd be cheaper to do that way. I mean, the spirit's gone. He couldn't use the stock footage, but it's a way to get the toy line out. But yeah, I love the designs on Q Ranger. I like the toys. I think they're like tailor-made to work in America because Bandai of America helped make it. If you could pick a yeah, sorry, I'm doubling up now. I read that one. Let's see. Why is there a D when it's a fridge, but not when it's a refrigerator? Look, I'm not here to answer the mysteries of the universe. I'm here to answer my personal questions. Because English is a dumb language. And somehow we, as an Anglo-Saxon culture, managed to create an enormously dumb language that has 3 different spellings for the word to. Yeah. And multiple versions of there. Like, and we added a K to the word knife. I don't know why we did these things. It's not a smart language. Let's see. How would you rank the Unicron Trilogy Transformers from best to worst? Also, do you think the second half of Armada is good or not as bad as the first half? The second half of Armada is definitely not as bad as the first half because we're through all that minicon gathering malarkey. As far as like, here's the thing. I didn't watch Energon and Cybertron nearly as much as I watched Superlink and Galaxy Force. If I'm judging by that, then it's definitely going to be Galaxy Force, Superlink, and then Armada, or Micron Densetsu, more properly. If we're doing it by the American shows, I would still put Cybertron at the top because it's better animated. And then Armada would be second. Energon would be distant third. Because not only is the story even more boring, the characters have all been made incredibly generic. They took out some really good story beats. We have very annoying characters like Kicker. And then Gary Chalk, as professional as he is, sounds so bored. So bored as Optimus in that series. Let's see. What do we have to sacrifice to whom to get a TJOmega Funko Pop or some sort of equivalent shelf/desk decoration? You have to make monetary sacrifices to the sacred Kickstarter, which would be of the official TJOmega toy, a thing that does not exist, nor does the Kickstarter exist. I don't know there's enough people who would actually want a little plastic me of any variety. Though Funko does so many things, like I think I'm like 5 years away from getting mine. I think they're just going to run out of things to license and eventually just go to YouTubers. You have some questions? Sure, I have some answers. Some unused designs from Transformers anime that really piqued your interest. Marauder Megatron! Oh my god, I'm going to say it every time I get the chance. Marauder Megatron is like the best design I've ever seen on a Transformer that never came out. Hotshot as well. Hotshot looked really, really good. US dub or Japanese dub sub? I will always take, honestly, I'll always take US dub if it's a good dub, like Cybertron's not a good dub. I'll always watch Galaxy Force first. Yeah, so it's really situational. It's really situational. For the Unicron trilogy, definitely subs. Every other... if you're talking like anime in general, then I'm very much a proponent of dubs because it's so much easier. I feel like a lot of the arguments of sub versus dub is also just so subjective, and a lot of it's uninformed. So, I feel like it's a waste of time. Like, just watch it and don't get heated over it. Don't make a debate about it. Just enjoy it however you want. It's anime. Love it. Just enjoy it and let other people enjoy it however they want. It's not important how they watch it. It's important that they watch it and the fan base flourishes. That's the important part. Would you be okay if I could recommend you some series to check out, some video ideas for the future? Video ideas for the future, I would always enjoy. I always like hearing what people want to see coming up for the channel. Recommending me some series you do not have to do because I've got so many that I already want to see and I just don't have the time for. Make a cast out of the minor Transformer characters like the Duocon, Sandstorm, and Steam Hammer. Already ahead of you. Wait for the video. With all these Transformer crossovers, what would you like to see? I've already answered this one too. Nintendo and Doraemon. That's an interesting one. I don't know how I would do like Nintendo crossing over with Transformers. Unless we get, well, we've already got a transforming Genesis. Why didn't we get a Super Nintendo? Oh, yeah, because it's hard to get Nintendo to license anything. I don't know how that would go. I don't know how to go. I think we kind of nailed it with Pokemon using the Beast Wars cast. I think that's kind of where that direction would go. And yeah, I keep saying like Ninja Turtle crossover. Let's see. I don't really like when Optimus Prime's color is stray away from G1. What are your thoughts? I think there's situations for it. I remember like the Night Watch Optimus Prime from the first movies always looked really cool to me. Like I've seen like black and gold Optimuses during the movie line and Prime that just look absolutely gorgeous. I think one of the reasons why, like something I miss from the Unicron trilogy days is their willingness to take those designs and throw wildly different colors on them. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing to try and give a fresh look to a character or just to see if other colors seem to work. In the right situation with the right explanation, I don't have any problem with it. What Transformers crossover would you like to see Hasbro do, if any? That's like the most common question I have gotten this whole time. I can only answer it so many times. Do you think Hasbro will eventually release a continuation to G1? I don't think so. Like I've said it in the previous video, we've got so many like resurrections going on. Like with X-Men. X-Men is coming back. Animaniacs came back. He-Man came back. You actually never know these days. We very well could get some kind of G1 continuation down the line. I would like to see it because G1 didn't have an ending. And right now I think Peter Cullen and like I hate to say it, but like Peter Cullen's getting on his age. Frank Welker is too. Like if you're gonna do it, might want to move. Let's see. Favorite Studio Series figure. That's kind of skewed these days because we've introduced the 86 Studio Series figures. If we're talking proper movie figures, I didn't really buy too many of them. I think out of that, probably... God, do I want to say like Movie 1 Megatron? Because I think he actually pulled it off better than the Masterpiece did. Like, I'm genuinely trying to think. The Bumblebee movie Optimus was also really good. That one I really, really liked. The Jet Shatter was really, really good. And we're in Studio Series in general. Like, I'm really high on like 86 Grimlock at the moment. Also hyped for the Dinobots. Favorite mainline gimmick. Examples include Cyberplanet keys, weaponizers, mech tech. So I really do like the cyber keys more than anything. But to be fair, that is that's just like the activation device is the same. Like that's the universal part. If we're talking like mainline gimmick that is actually a gimmick, probably Headmasters. I thought Headmasters added a nice level of playability to Transformers they didn't have before. Can you do a top 5 Transformers animated review marathon? A new big review of your favorite with a fresh perspective. Like the older random reviews. I will be honest, I don't own many... I don't think I even own any like Transformers animated figures anymore. I regret selling off a lot of them because they are really phenomenally engineered figures. It's just one of those things it wasn't on display anymore. I didn't really have room for them. And like, if I'm going to hold on to anything for display, it's going to be G1. Like as good as animated is, like I can't deny, like I enjoy collecting G1. What got me into collecting? I've been collecting toys for as long as I can remember. What turned me into an actual collector was starting to see other people take care of their toys in the way I wasn't and realizing, oh, I'm not doing this right. So let's start actually taking care of them now. What really kicked it off for me as a collector was getting to Transformers RID and seeing, oh, the Autobots are coming back. Because I bought Beast Wars sporadically, but I was still just a kid buying toys, so I just like throw them around everywhere. So when they actually came back to do like Autobots and Decepticons again, now I'm kind of excited. So that was when I like had shelves in my room for the first time to display my toys. That's the first time where like I wanted every toy from the line. That kind of is what spurred me to collect, was seeing the Autobots and Decepticons come back after all these animals ruined G1 forever. Another thoughts on O's, with a new twist, Tajador Eternity, I think, is a beautiful, beautiful form. But yeah, video incoming. Quite a few questions, alright? I have some answers, so pick carefully. Most controversial, unpopular opinion you have regarding anything in the Transformers franchise? Apparently, it's my opinion on translucent plastic, because I get so much blowback on that. Oh, it's just environmental. Oh, it's just your bad luck. It's like, no. Here's like literally 300 responses from my fan base, and my fan base is not that big. If someone with, 100,000, 200,000 asks this question, you'd probably get thousands of responses. I'm sorry, translucent plastic sucks. It just does. Despite their abysmal or original toy, would you be against the idea of Armada, Sideswipe, Scavenger, or Smokescreen? All the Armada cast getting brand new toys developed from the ground up as a new mold that does the characters the justice they deserve. I think these characters have some pretty good designs. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I would love to see, like, I think as far as, like, there is this little butter zone between Armada and Energon where the Energon toys are really solid, and they are good at what they are doing, and if they tried to modernize those particular designs, I think they would lose something. They definitely would lose the gimmicks that made them stand out and made the toys fun, but I don't think they would benefit. I think they would lose more by getting new toys than they would gain, and Cybertron would definitely lose, because I don't think they could make toys to the high quality that Cybertron had. Armada is like the last bastion of designs that desperately need new refreshes. Like a lot of the ones you mentioned, Sideways as well, absolutely need another go around. And you're hitting that point where I do feel like the nostalgia is actually there for that era. Do you think there's such a thing as TFs that is a great looking figure but awful toy to play with? A lot of movie toys. A lot of movie toys are like that, you know, like a lot of that is also like Masterpiece too. Like I think Masterpiece Megatron 2.0 looks amazing, but because of the way all of his parts are so heavily painted and his transformation is so complex, playing with him just feels like torture to me. Like, I've transformed him out of gun mode and into robot mode, and I've never, ever wanted to transform him back. So, he's beautiful. It's an absolutely beautiful toy, but I'm scared of scratching everything on him. Let's see, is there any difference between a TF being a great figure and being a great toy? Absolutely. When you talk about a great figure, you're more on the action figure side of things. When you're being on a great toy, you're considering more of everything. So, like, there are gimmicky toys. There are gimmicky toys. Like, for Cyberverse, I really liked Repugnus. Like, the little quick change, like the one-step Repugnus toy that came out, I thought was a fun little toy, you know? Is it a good figure? No. It has 4 points of articulation. That is it. Is it a good toy? Yes, because it does what it's supposed to do really well, and it's fun to watch it happen. I like the toy a lot, but it is definitely not a good figure. If you had the opportunity, or how would you, or what would you rewrite Transformers Energon, and what were the goals of the rewrite? The goals would be to properly expand off of what happened in Armada rather than just kind of forgetting that it happened and just moving on. I would have utilized the Earth cast from the original better than I did. Better than they did. I would have, I wouldn't have just like forgotten about the Unicron plot a third of the way through the series. I definitely wouldn't have had so many episodes where they're just floating in space, shooting at each other, getting absolutely nothing done on their way to Cybertron. I wouldn't have had Demolisher return to the Decepticons. I think he was far more interesting with this begrudging friendship he was forming with the Autobots. I feel like he would have been a far more interesting character if he had actually stuck to his guns and stayed with his new friends, rather than giving in to his loyalty to Megatron. Yeah, and then, like, after that, he just became a nothing. Like, he just became an absolute nothing character. He became a bad guy that's there to shoot at the Autobots, which is what happened to everyone in that show. God, it's so bad. Where's the shop located? The town that shop is in is literally in the intro of every, like, the logo and, like, the sign for the shop is right there in every episode of the Toy Store Life. Like, the shop's in Bonita Springs, Florida, because it's Bonita Springs Toys and Games. Not a mystery. Would I ever consider collecting any Hot Toys 1/6 scale figures? Hot Toys are just way too expensive. They're super impressive toys. Super impressive toys. But man, like, they are just... Oh boy. The only one I ever really wanted, the only one that I ever saw and I'm like, God, I wish I had gotten that when it was easy to get, was the Jack Nicholson Joker. That's the one that I would have wanted, and that's crazy expensive to get a hold of now. I definitely would not collect them, but at some point, having one of them, I think would be really cool. Transformers live action movies have mostly been criticized in regards to the plot. Since IDW will no longer be printing Transformer comics after 2022, the Transformer comics is up for grabs. Could Marvel Comics purchase the rights to Transformers and possibly get Avengers movie directors Joe and Anthony Russo to make a good movie? Hasbro could get Joe and Anthony Russo to make a good movie now. Like, that's not an issue. The issue is Hasbro doesn't want to pony up the money it would take to do that and get a good Transformers movie. Because they had what, a decade of proof that they could make crap movies and still make $1 billion off of it. So what do they care? Like, what do they care paying top dollar for the directors and producers they actually need? Yeah, it has nothing to do with, like, Marvel getting the rights to the Transformers comics. That's all inconsequential. That has nothing to do with the movies whatsoever. I think it'd be cool if Marvel picked it up and Marvel's doing Transformer comics again for the first time, since the early 90s. That'd be hilarious to me. See, how do you feel about Transformers that have a humanoid alt mode? How would you engineer a Transformer with a humanoid alt mode that while still making the transformation interesting in both modes, relatively unique? So the big problem that a lot of those figures have is the arms and legs become the arms and legs. So you got to get around that somehow, which is tricky to do. I would, at very least, I would have, like, some way where, like, at least one set of limbs collapsed in and gave way to, like if you're doing a monkey transformer, for instance, I would have it so, like, that the monkey arms, like, folded up to create the chest or something like that. Or, they'd fold over to the back and, like, somewhere from the body came the robot mode arms. That's something Primal didn't do. Optimus Minor certainly didn't do it. So, yeah, that's about as good as I can get on that one. See, if there's not too much to think about, what unconventional alt mode would you like to see on a Transformer? It's never been done before. It's only been done once or twice. I'm still a big proponent of getting a Griffin into Transformers. I was so upset when they came really close. They had an Ursa Griff in Beast Hunters, and that was it. We never got a Fusor. We got Tiger Hawk, a tiger, winged tiger. Again, so close, so far. I love mythical creatures, and I think it's a huge untapped thing to just do, like, dragons. There's other mythical creatures. Expand your horizons. When you mentioned you never asked Scott McNeil why he filled in for Tarantulas a bit in Other Voices Part 2, was there by any chance any other voice acting oddity you would have perhaps asked any of the other Beast Wars cast members? If we're going with oddities, it'd most likely be like... there's an episode in season 3 where Primal gets shot with like a transmetal cyber venom that makes him start acting like super goofy, and I would have loved to have been in the room when Gary read that for the first time and go, I have to sing? What is going on here? That would have been funny. Yeah, let's see. Oh, it's another list. Oh no. Let's see. What's your favorite combiner? Computron. Who's prettier, RC, Illegal One, or Witchblade? Women are beautiful in general. Let's put it that way. Though I do like color and design on Windblade best out of those three. Have you read any of the Marvel Transformer comics from the 80s? Sporadically. I've like plucked stories from it, but I've never read through the entire thing. First Transformer you ever got? Answered this before. I was too young to remember it. DC or Marvel? Always been a Marvel guy. Did you know about the SCP Foundation and they did SCPs on Transformers? I do know of the SCP. I had no idea that they did Transformers, but they do so much that doesn't really shock me either. What's my favorite alt mode on Transformer? Went over this already. It is somewhere in between a tank and a dragon. One or the other. Alright, if you were given the opportunity to design a combiner or a Megazord, what would make up the components of said hypothetical combiner / Megazord? So once again, we've already done this with the combiners. We've already done this with Megazord. I'd combine this with a previous answer and say mythical creatures. Even like Power Rangers is not tapped into that much outside of the occasional dragon. It's always dragons. Seriously, there's so many more. There's a plethora of fictional creatures you could be using here, guys. See, if you had to make a Transformer horror movie because Michael Bay is pointing at you with a gun, what would you do? This requires working with Michael Bay, so he might as well pull the trigger because I wouldn't be able to live with myself anyway. If I'm making a Transformer horror movie, if I'm like forced to make one, I already mentioned I don't do horror. I don't like horror genre. Yeah, it's hard to think. Like, there's definitely ways you can do horror elements in Transformers. We've seen zombie Transformers in several different ways. We've seen, like, body snatcher Transformers. God, I don't know. You're absolutely asking the wrong person. I'm just so, like, not a horror guy. What Sentai / Power Ranger mech did you find the most disappointing? Tokyo comes to mind immediately. Because it's just trains hooked side by side. It barely looks like they're combined. Like, every time they combine, they look worse. The Voyagers, I'd say the same way. We're just playing with blocks at that point. That's not really interesting to me. Is there a Takara Bandai property that you wanted to get started in but felt like you missed your chance? The reboot Diaclone, I think. There's a few from that line, especially like the Battle Convoy they did. I really wish I'd gotten into because it looks like right up my alley toy line wise. They're just so expensive. It's very, very hard to get into on those. We know you like Patamon. With the current resurgence, what would your top 10 Digimon be? That would take a lot more thought than I have time for in the AMA. I don't know if that's going to be a future video or not. Because, like, I tried to do Pokemon as a theme, and that doesn't get many views, so I don't think Digimon would go any better. So I know, like, I haven't even watched the reboot. I have not watched the new series, so I can't even, like, get in on that resurgence. Right again, like, man, there's a lot of Digimon questions. I know you're a Digimon fan. Was wondering what your favorite Digimon series is. I'm always going to be partial to the original series. I hated how abruptly Series 2 ended, because they lost 13 episodes from their run, so they had to end things super abruptly. And I really hated Davis. I hated Davis so bad as a character. Yeah, so Season 2, like, I really liked TK and Kari in that season. I don't like that they left off Kari's mystery with no explanation. But yeah, so I'm always going to be a bigger fan of Season 1. Season 3, really good too. That's a close second. Favorite non-Transformer Kamen Rider related movie or TV show? I like a show out of the UK called Red Dwarf. That is my absolute favorite TV show of all time. A lot of fun, just a hilarious little show. I'm eyeballing 3D models to print off of the Starbug. Yeah. Brock Lesnar or Roman Reigns? Roman Reigns, because he actually wants to stick around and wrestle and doesn't like run back off to his farm to deadlift cows or whatever he does. No, Brock definitely has a passion for the business, or else he wouldn't keep coming back. He wouldn't be wrestling house shows, but he's also in it for the money. You can have a passion for something and still be in it for the money purely. So that's what Brock Lesnar feels like. Brock just feels ingenuine. So Roman Reigns, and like seriously, he's a leukemia survivor twice over that is still competing at the highest level. Dude is legit in a way that Brock could never be. If you had the means to do so, what is the toy line that you'd love to go all out collecting, as you have with Transformers, and what holds you back from doing it? The answer to what holds me back from doing it is always going to be finances and being able to pay bills. The toy lines that I would go all out in collecting, like Kamen Rider, like Transformers, Mega Man toys. Anytime I get a hold of any of those, I'm trying to think of like what other toy lines I'm like really like. Not the Funko. Not the Funko. That's an occasional. I'm trying to think of like what's like the one toy line where I go like give me everything all at once. Probably Mask. I have a lot of fond memories of Mask toys from my childhood. I'd love to go back and have a whole bunch of those. Ninja Turtles as well. I used to have some of the most some of the turtles I had as a kid are now some of the most valuable toys in that entire toy line. I had the Technodrome, I had the Big Krang, I had the Little Krang. That was like really rare. Even as a kid, I realized that toy was really rare, and I had it, and I should have never sold it. Yeah, and like all the mutation turtles, there's like giant mutation turtles. I never knew that there were giant versions of the mutating turtles, and they're like $500 a piece now. Like I can't even afford one of them. Let's see. Thank you so much for all the content over the years, TJ. Thank you for watching me for so many years. You guys are the reason I am able to keep doing this. As for a question, do you have a favorite Pokemon team from your various playthroughs of the games, or even Pokemon that you have used across multiple teams? Most of my Pokemon teams have made use of Rose Raid. So Scyther is the obvious answer there, but if I can get them on my team, I really like Tyrantrum. I really like Aggron. Aggron is just such a good tank of a Pokemon. Who else? Who else is really good? I really, really like Komo. Like the Scale Dragon. I love that design. And I like he's such an atypical dragon design. And his shiny is like amazing. It's like super garish and like vastly different from his original color. Love it. DJ, just wondering, as you have interviewed Scott McNeil several times in the past, if you had his blessing, which of his 4 Beast Wars roles would you like to play if they did a remake and you were given the role, no questions asked? I could never do his characters justice. Like, the voice acting thing is, if you know it's someone else's character, you make sure you pass it along. Go, no, you don't want me impersonating this person. You want this person. I wouldn't choose to do any of them. Though I could probably twist this into Waspinator if I really tried. I have not really tried, obviously. Also, Waspinator would probably get destroyed every 10 seconds, so I would not have to do too many lines. If Hasbro and Toei worked together to make Kamen Rider figures as part of a Transformer collaborative line, how would you imagine this hypothetical Transformer looking like? So I kind of already mentioned it, so... I mean, if they're doing just like a collaborative line, then you have a lot of play. The Insecticons becoming like the team from Kabuto. You've got bullet trains turning into Den-O. You've got, you know, who knows how many motorcycles. Drive. Like, Drive and Black RX, I think, would be, like, your bread and butter there, as, you know, cars transforming into riders. That would be, like, the easiest ways to go with that. But yeah, that's probably the realm. That is probably the realm you shoot for. What are your top 10 favorite Kamen Rider series? Another one that is way too big for this particular list. I will give you my top 3, and it is O's, Gaim, and at the very top, Agito. Those are my 3. I remember there was a guy who wanted you to review Cybertron, Megatron, whatever happened to him. And 2, what is your most hated Transformer in all of Transformers? Character. Most hated Transformers character, not toy. Good twist for the Plastic Addict. The guy who just like was super insistent on Megatron eventually just got really harassing, so he is no longer welcome in my comment section. That's what happened to him. Most hated character in all of Transformers. I said it in the past video, or maybe it was this video. It's gone. I've been recording for a long time. The bullies from Armada that eventually turned into good guys. Those were just like skid marks on the entire series. I hate them. They were so annoying. Like even when they like started playing nice, I think they were still like incredibly intolerable and served no purpose to existing at that point. I'm trying to think if there's a Transformer themselves that I'm like, God, I absolutely hated them. Like, rather than just like a human character. I'm not pulling up. My head's not coming up with anything. Night Scream. Beast Machine's Night Scream, who's a total Mary Sue of a character. That one I couldn't stand. Any underrepresented vehicle modes in Transformers you would like to see more of? I kind of like more spacecraft, because we've had like there's like concept spacecraft now that they could be doing toys of, and they have not touched anything like that. There's all, you know, like we don't make new characters anymore, so we don't get like futuristic spaceships like Scattershot anymore. You know, we just get the same old characters over and over. I feel like there's a gap there that we really should have been taking advantage of by now. Do you think there is such a thing as too much articulation in a figure, as in hindering the build quality or sculpt? Absolutely. Right now, I think like the figures we have these days have like the perfect level of articulation. Just about everything you want to move does move. I feel like if you tried working in any more, you're going to hinder the transformation of the toy. You're going to have too many cuts, and it's going to look broken up. Yeah, I mean, yeah. You can absolutely have too much articulation. At some point, it just becomes, like, unnecessary. Favorite Transformers game? That's how I started this list, but I can answer it again because we're in video 2. Transformers Devastation. By far. Interesting question. All right. Since there were a lot of convoys in Japan side of Beast Wars, I was wondering if you had your own idea for a Beast-era convoy. Mine would be a T-Rex called Rex Convoy. Interesting. Interesting. And the trick to that is that you're going to have to come up with something that kind of compares to, like, you know, a gorilla, a lion, and it's like a gorilla, lion, and woolly mammoth. You know, those are some pretty apex, you know, mammals for an Optimus Prime to turn into. I'm trying to think of like what else an Optimus Prime would transform into. You know, like we're talking like Eagle, but they'd just be too skinny, like too scrawny. I don't feel like that would justify him too much. You know, you're into like your great white sharks, but you know, it's not terribly interesting to have like a water-based beast mode because you barely get to do anything. That's actually weird. Like, I would have to go through, like, I literally have to look at a list of animals and go, oh yeah, Optimus Prime should have been one of these at some point. You're trying to think, because, like, Beast Wars covered so much ground, especially if you include Beast Wars 2 and Neo. There's not a whole lot more. Like, I could go into, like, a dinosaur Optimus Prime. It wouldn't be a T-Rex because it's like that's not becoming of him. Yeah, that's a really hard one. That's another one to like maybe set aside for a different video. Favorite robot related anime? Probably gonna say Gao Gaigar on that one. I love how like ridiculously over the top it is. I'm trying to remember, like, because generally like I get so tired of like I love my Transformers, but it makes me exhausted for any other giant robot thing out of Japan. So like I'm not a Gundam fan like at all anymore, but I will sit down and watch G Gundam anytime. So that would be my backup answer there. In your opinion, what do you think of That Toy Guy, Perspective N, and other smaller creators on the Transformer side of YouTube, which are starting to show a following? That Toy Guy, Perspective N, I have not seen their work. Like I said before, I don't really follow or watch any other Transformer reviewers because I kind of just want to do my own thing. Like I don't want to like accidentally be influenced in what I do. I mean, I do like that there are still new people coming up because we do need some new blood in this in the reviewing realm for Transformers, and new opinions are always welcome because the more opinions you have, the better you can inform your own opinion, and the more likely you're going to find someone that jives with you that you know I can go to them to get a feeling for what I'm going to think about a toy or something. So yeah, I think nothing but good. I'm glad, especially in like the era we are in of stolen early toy reviews, that people are actually getting off the ground. That's good. As you work in a toy store, do you ever buy anything that you sell, or is it brought in? Would you rather buy them from other places? Do you ever buy anything that you sell, or that is brought in, or would you rather buy them from other places? So it is a very, very rare exception where I will buy something out of the inventory that comes in. I will say that. I try it like professionally. I have to separate myself from the inventory from the toy store. So I try not to do any purchasing of what comes in because I want the store to profit. And if I'm buying it, it still is. But I'd rather my customers be happy. I'd rather them come and find the thing that they were hunting for rather than find out I took it away from them. Here's a fun one. If Beast Wars took place during the time of the dinosaurs, aka the Mesozoic, what animals do you choose for their beast modes? That's a way too big of a question to ask. I'd have to do dinosaur research to answer that one. I don't even know what was alive during the Mesozoic period. Alright, so what are your thoughts on Trans Art 3D Party Beast Wars Trans Metal figures? Do you own them despite them being expensive? I'm like hard eyeballing them right now. I pre-ordered the Megatron because it's my favorite design and it looks really good. I am currently deciding if I want to take the financial hit to get their Cheetor and their Primal, because they do look good. What are your thoughts on Armada Hotshot change over the years, and how so? And if so, how have they changed? So I still don't like the character. I still think it's a Mary Sue character that was ultimately scripted very poorly, but the intention of them being a Mary Sue and like like a supplanting Hot Rod, I feel like didn't fly. It just didn't gel well. So yeah, I've softened up on Hotshot a little bit because I do think he deserves better because he was like the Bumblebee of the franchise for a long time. But yeah, I'm still not a huge fan of him. How does the original Beast Wars Dinobot Death is more better than the New Kingdom Dinobot Death? Because grammatically this is hard to parse. Yeah, so the Kingdom one just kind of rushed like the face turn for Dinobot, and it came off really awkward that they were trying to do like his entire storyline in the course of like one episode. It felt really forced and cheap, and I really hated that they went in that direction. Dinobot was preparing for his death 5 episodes before he actually died. And we actually had time to get to know and grow fond of Dinobot, so like of course his death is going to be the better one. All right, I'm about at the hour mark again, but there's very few questions left, so I'm just going to hammer through these. I'm going to try and speed this up a little bit. What video do you regret making, and what video do you wish was made? I don't regret any of the videos I made. I don't think there's none that I'm ashamed of, and none that I think, if I thought I could think I could have done all of them better. So it's not like I'm gonna regret like this one wasn't that good. What video you wish was made? I've been meaning to make a Kamen Rider retrospective for years. I've never gotten around to. I wish I had made those by now. If you could create a brand new Scramble City Combiner type, what would the alt modes and names be? Again, that's a big question for an AMA. We'll save that for another video, and I've been asked this a lot, so I guess I need to make a video of it. Updated room tour? Never. I don't think my room's interesting to look at anymore. Opinion of the 3 worst Sentai and why. I'm not going to go into why. I can't, I've had a really hard time keeping up with Sentai. I think I've just grown out of it. In my adulthood, I've grown out of Sentai. I'm just not, I'm not huge on the franchise anymore. In general, with Zenkaiger being a rare exception. So I'm not really qualified to say what the 3 worst are, because right now I'm hard pressed to even remember ones that I'm hard pressed to remember them. What Marvel US storyline would you like to see adapted into animation? Probably the Underbase, where Starscream was at his absolute worst. Does Ask Vector Prime's answers for various aspects of the brand make you more coherent or make the multiverse feel smaller by having everything be tied together? I definitely think it makes it more coherent, and I think it actually expands the multiverse, because you realize they aren't just random things and events, but they're entire other worlds out there that we only got a little taste of. So it's not like it's smaller, it's like it's way bigger. If you were in the Persona universe, what TF character would you awaken as your main persona? I don't know Persona much. I just watch a friend of mine stream it once in a while. I feel like I would want my persona to be like Dinobot or Blitzwing, just so I have one of my favorites backing me up. Really, if I've got one that's like conveying me, it's probably more along the lines of a hot shot, or a prime smokescreen is kind of that butter zone of youthful characters not really taking things as seriously as he should. Do you remember the McDonald's Transformer toys? An Autobot that was a green Hummer. It was small. I don't remember a green Hummer being a McDonald's Transformer toy. They did ones for Armada. They did ones for Beast Wars. Of course, you wouldn't find a green Hummer there. And there's the changeables that were the food. That was, yeah, never mind. I don't remember that one. I don't remember the ones you're talking about, at least. Can you find a blue one? He's here. That was easy. Who's an obscure character from the Transformers you'd like to see more? Whether you want to get more figures or see it more in the shows. Punch Counterpunch, I think, is an extremely underutilized character. For as interesting a concept as it is, especially considering it's an adult, or non-adult. Why did I say that? Considering it was an Autobot concept to be a double agent. It's usually not what you'd expect out of the good guys. What do you regret most in collecting? The only regrets I really have is passing up on things I could have grabbed. I regret passing up on HasLab Unicron at $575 when it was started, because now I would pay over $1,000 to get it if I had the chance. Like I said before, I don't really have regrets in collecting anymore, because anything I've regretted I've turned into a positive, which I feel is a good way to live life, What are your thoughts on the Machine Robot anime series, since there are a lot of them on the GoBots? I've not seen a single one, so I have absolutely no opinions. What's your opinion on Hasbro's dependence on G1? Your opinions on the Evergreen designs? I get the idea of the Evergreen designs. It's modernizing the original designs and keeping a consistency, even though the toys and the cartoons are constantly changing shape to keep collectors interested. Evergreen allows there to be some consistent flow of this is just the representative design for Optimus, Megatron, etc. I think it's a good idea on Hasbro's part. I do think they are way too dependent on G1, but at the same time, it sells. So, we as fans might be getting tired of it, but obviously it's still working. What would I do for a Klondike bar? What wouldn't I do for a Klondike bar? Especially right now. I've been recording for 2 hours straight and I'm hot. Should Transformers do an anime series again, like we had in early 2000s with RID and the Unicron trilogy? The animes tended to be pretty low budget, so unless you get like Studio Trigger or some like crazy animation company doing it, no. The last time we got anime Transformers was Transformers Go, which was terrible, so let's not revisit that. I think it should just be like whatever suits the franchise best at the time, you know? If it's a CG American cartoon, let it be that. You know, if it is an anime, you know, if we're having like a style that would lean itself more toward an anime aesthetic, that's fine. I don't think it's like they need to do an anime series. I think they need to do what's best for the franchise at the time. What was the figure show or just general part of the franchise that kept you collecting? For me, it was finding creators like you, Evangelist, King Lafo, and the wider community as a whole. I miss King Lafo. For a long time, I will admit, keeping me collecting was you guys and wanting to actually get my videos out and let you guys know what new Transformers were. So that was part of it. For me, it really was. Oh God, that's a lot. Like for me, like part of it was going back and rediscovering Beast Wars when because I had skipped out on Beast Wars because I thought, ugh, truck not monkey. I could go back there and actually get so much fresh experience and realize what I missed out on and loved it. So like even when my interest in Transformers waning, I could go back to something I skipped and go, oh, this is still good. I still do really like this. So that's kind of what it is, and I still kind of do that to this day. All right, Kingdom Deluxe Hover for 18 and Generations Pro for like $2. Okay. Did the Generations Cyber Battalion line not do well? It's not that Cyber Battalion didn't do well. It's that it wasn't meant to be a mainline series. It was just meant to be like Walgreens, and for a long time, it wasn't even in America. It was like a line they released in Brazil. So it's meant to be like a cheapo line just to fill shelves at like you know what they call like lesser markets. So it's not that it did bad. It's not intended to do good. Coming back to building a Transformer collection long after my childhood, and I just want to know how valuable are deluxe figures. I mean, it depends on series and what it belongs to. Is it pure build quality? It's demand. It's everything that has value is because it has demand. Now everything, okay, so if the build quality is really good or the transformation is really nice or it's a really popular character, that adds to it. But ultimately that's just things that make the demand higher. So, you know, if you're looking at something like a classic Starscream, okay, there's some high demand there. You know, that's just how that goes. Should I try to collect Voyager plus figures only? No. Buy what you like. Buy what looks good to you. You know, if you have, if you wanted to, if you see reviews, something that we do of, a toy that looks good to you, go buy it. You know, buy what you think you would enjoy. As a long-term investment, keeping up figures in the box and never opening them. Don't count on toy investment. I tell this to people all the time, especially in modern Transformers, because they're constantly replacing the characters with newer, upgraded versions, so the demand is always in flux. Toy prices and toy value is completely erratic. You can't speculate or guess on it and like retire off of it someday. Don't try it. Don't try it. You know, like I found out today, I think I found out recently how valuable the Titans Return figures got. And like, there's like, Power of the Primes didn't jump that high, Combiner Wars didn't jump that high, but Titans Return did. Who would have called that? Let's see, I have almost no idea what the different series of Transformers are. I just read the box. That's fine. Go to TF Wiki. Educate yourself. My understanding is that Kingdom War for Cybertron is the newest line of toys to be released, and man, some of them look very good and very TV accurate. There's a big push in the last 3 years to be TV accurate with not only their designs but also their scaling. So yeah, we've gotten some very, very nice looking toys these days. Build quality maybe not as good as it used to be, but looks nice. But there, seriously, so no. Last time I bought any Transformers when I was about 11 years old, in the end of the Beast Wars, Transmetals, and the beginning of Robots in Disguise Armada. By the way, I really want the 2 Decepticons at the beginning of the Bumblebee movie. Shatter, I think was the name one. I can't remember the other one. Dropkick. Yeah, they look good for Michael Bay. They weren't Michael Bay. That's why they look good. Get the jet version of Shatter and the car version of Dropkick, and you're good. Do you think of a Mortal Kombat and Transformer crossover toy line figure could work? No. I think those worlds are a little bit too far apart, especially when you remember Transformers is a young kids brand. We're not going to bring the Mortal Kombat characters into it. You said that your favorite Decepticon is Blitzwing, so who's your favorite Autobot? I probably would say Star Saber. Just how powerful of a leader he is, as well as just like it's the sword play I really like. I really like how his toy functions and how he functions as a robot. I do think the father aspect of him makes him really unique. Yeah, just all around, I think it's a really, really underutilized character. Do you think a Transformers series based on Shattered Glass would ever be made? Not outside of a comic book. I don't think you get... If you're thinking cartoon, that mirror universe thing as a full cartoon and a franchise would ultimately just be confusing to the target audience. You know, kids. You know, if they make a cartoon, it's targeting kids. So outside of maybe a Netflix thing that's a super out there, I don't see that happening. Since Hasbro has multiple other franchises and have done G.I. Joe crossover with Megatron, what do you think would be a good crossover with this other franchise? Oh my god, how many times? How many times? Ninja Turtles, moving on. Would you consider a Beast Wars Waspinator that purposely blows up? Thankfully with a button, a bad toy gimmick, or a perfectly a Waspinator that can't be transformed and posed well. I definitely think there is room in the world for a specialty release of a Waspinator that has some kind of blow-apart gimmick. Look back to the old 90s Swamp Thing toys. There's a lime green Swamp Thing where if you pull the limbs, they come off on these little strings. It's like the bicep is just kind of floating on the middle of the string, and the arm hangs way down here, and it just hangs after you pull the string. And you can do that to all of the limbs, so you can just have them like in a body pile on your table, and then you hit a button on the back, and they all snap back into place. That is the gimmick that a Waspinator toy needs. We need the ability to pull it apart. Is a question I've been meaning to ask you. Hope it doesn't get lost in the mix. No, it did not. Renegade Games is releasing a Transformers tabletop RPG, and I notice you have D&D books on your shelf. So you exist in that overlap of tabletop RPG players and Transformer fans. Smiley face. Yes, I am in rarefied air. Do you know about this? If so, what do you think about it? I do know about it. I have not read into it to know how the game actually is going to play. I mean, of course it's going to appeal to me because you're bringing two of my great loves together. But, I mean, for me, it's going to be like how well you incorporate the vehicle mode and how well does the combat work. I'm interested. Definitely interested, but I definitely have to do my research on it before I can give like a full thoughts and opinions. If I can make a multiverse team of Autobots versus Decepticons, who would I consist of? Oh boy, way too big of a question. Way too big of a question. I apologize for everyone who I keep saying that's a big question because like I'm trying to rapid fire this and like I can't stop and think about things like this because that would take a long time to think about. But if you've heard me go this long, you kind of figure the characters that I would like to see, you know. What parts of the Transformers series get your hair to stand up, like an adrenaline rush? For me, it's prime speeches, music, certain battles. There's always going to be something to, like, a theme song hitting right as the battle starts, or a really good stock transformation sequence that just, like, conveys just how, like, serious things we've just gotten. That's always cool. There's so much that's just so done at this point in Transformers, like combining or something. Like it should make my hair stand up on end, but it's just I've seen it too many times. Let's see. A few questions. Okay. What specific thing started your crusade against clear plastic? It was losing Beast Machine's Hammer Strike, the little basic class shark boy, coming home one day and finding his arms by his feet because the elbows had completely shattered on their own. Yeah, I loved that toy. Like, for whatever reason, that toy just like hit me in a really interesting spot. And I was heartbroken that that toy broke. And that's just when I started taking notice of just how many different toys of mine were breaking because of the colored plastic. It was the Armada Air Defense Minicons after that. Best toy in your most hated lines. The lines I hate the most, Beast Machines being one of them. Hammer Strike would have been my answer there. Well, one of the answers there. There's some decent Beast Machines toys. Black Arachnia in that line was actually really well done. Worst toys in your most beloved franchise. That's what Plastic Addict is all about. I think you're looking, for Cybertron, you're looking, like for Beast Wars, you're looking at like Retrax, and for Cybertron, you're looking at Backstop, basically. Thoughts on the Gundam franchise? Not a big Gundam fan outside of G Gundam. Used to be big on Gundam Wing, but now I'm just kind of like bored of it. Biggest disappointment in Transformers, be it a figure line, show, etc. Hasbro's lack of risk, and just trying to do the same old thing over and over for so long. I'm it's always been very disappointing to see Hasbro just kind of curl up into that nostalgia ball and not want to leave it. Thoughts on the Japan only series? Takara Trilogy, Beast Wars 2, Beast Wars Neo, Transformers Go. I hated Transformers Go. It's just a big commercial for selling some weird toys. The Takara Trilogy, I did like Super Link and Galaxy Force a lot better than their American counterparts. Haven't had the time to watch Beast Wars 2 and Neo yet. Favorite obscure character that you think needs more love? We did mention Counterpunch before. I'm trying to think if there's any others besides that, because I've got plenty of like obscurities. Like, I would love to see Rapido again. I would love for Rapido to make a return. 100 duck-sized horses or 1 horse-sized duck. Like, as said before, 100 duck-sized horses, I don't know what they would do to me at that size. There's a lot of sweep kicks going on to get rid of them. That would be at least more amusing. Cooler toy, animated bulkhead or prime bulkhead? Not first edition. Oh, the caveat you just threw in. Okay, but no, you have to throw... Okay, no, here's the thing. We got to be fair here, because animated bulkhead also had 2 variations to his toys. He had a Voyager and a Leader. I do think the Leader was a really, really good toy. The Prime Bulkhead First Edition is a magical toy in how it operates. So that would be the winner if that was allowed, but we're letting animated Bulkhead get away with his 2 variations, but not Prime Bulkhead. And I'm not including the Beast Hunter one. That's very different than what we were talking about here. But yeah, it'd be animated in that case. If I designed a card game, what would be your hook? I would find some reason to have all of those little crap monsters that just fill up the pack with useless guff. I remember building Yu-Gi-Oh decks and throwing out pretty much any card that wasn't at least 1500 attack power. Because back then the Crush card wasn't an actual thing. They just made it up for the anime. Let's say I like a special effect. I feel like there's got to be ways, there's got to be formats where like you can make use of all those cards you would normally just like stuff in a box and not think about. So that would be what I would try to do. Favorite episode of Kamen Rider Agito? God, I can't, like, that gets hard. That gets hard. Another Agito dying. Spoiler alert. That one pops to mind. Shining's debut. God. That's a series where I can't peg down a single episode because it's such a long, like, winding storyline. Are there any redone Transformer figures you would actually prefer the originals to? Well, we talked about that before. Siege tried to do Cybertron Optimus Prime again and didn't even touch the original figure. For the most part, most of like what we have now is better than what we had before. I kind of admit, like, I kind of prefer the original Megatron to the Kingdom one. I think the Kingdom one, I think, is more cumbersome and doesn't handle his backpack as well. Is a hot dog a sandwich? I'll put it to you this way. If what you buy at Subway is a sandwich, then a hot dog is a sandwich because it's meat in a semi-divided bun either way. So there. So if you don't think a hot dog is a sandwich, you go to Subway and you ask them for like a salami and lettuce hot dog. That's what you do because they're made exactly the same way. Favorite interpretation of Starscream across the franchise? Armada. Absolutely. Favorite Kamen Rider series? Agito. Favorite wrestler? For a long time, it was Rob Van Dam. But I also have a lot of respect for Chris Jericho. And these days, Kenny Omega. Favorite wrestling promotions? AEW, New Japan. Anything that is not WWE. Favorite Kamen Rider weapon? I always really liked the oh god, I can't even remember the name of it. The Fies Blaster's weapon. I can't remember the name of it offhand. Never got it, but it always looked like a super cool toy. Favorite rider machine in Kamen Rider. Oh, there's so many. Like, there's some easy ones. Machine Decatur always looked like a super cool bike. Machine Tornado. Kind of that one. I don't like the dirt bike motorcycles. Let's put it that way. Favorite Super Sentai series and mecha? Bokenger and Daiboken as well. Any interest in the Ultra series? A lot of interest because of the Western expansion. I just haven't had the time for it. If you had to choose between evolution of Scyther, would you prefer Scizor or Cleavor? I do like Cleavor more. I still feel like neither is as cool as the original. Was the influence behind the nightmare scene at the beginning of the Titanium Optimal Optimus review? And why didn't you bring it up in your Guerrilla Warfare review? Because that review is so old that I did not want to go through that again. I didn't want to like rehash that one. I'm trying to even remember the nightmare sequence now. God, it's been so long since I watched my own stuff. Favorite, least favorite Super Sentai series? Bokenger's the favorite. Least favorite. Oh god, I'm trying to think of the one where I just could not stand. There's a few. Tokyuger I didn't like, which I know is unfair because a lot of people ended up liking Tokyuger. Guys, it's hard for me to think of right now. If you were chosen to give a choice to any actual transform into a Kamen Rider, which would you pick and why? If I could choose to actually transform into a Kamen Rider. Okay, that's a little different. Probably not Agito then. I'm trying to think of like who would like a really, really good one. In that case, it probably would be O's. Like his power set is just so diverse and there's so many things you can do with it. I think that would be really super cool. What's the shop's name? It's Bonita Springs Toys and Games. It's right in the intro of every episode of the Toy Store Life. And finally, would you ever make shorts or videos giving your thoughts on to Dawn Brothers or Revice episodes week after week? I've thought about it, but that requires me to actually have the time for Dawn Brothers and Revice, which most weeks I don't. So, yeah, that's the long and short of that one. I've thought about it. It's just, I'm making too much else and everything that I don't have the time for it to watch. All right. Whew. So that was close to 2.5 hours that I just sat here answering way over 200 questions. Yeah, thank you for everyone who posted them. Thank you for everyone who made it this far. This is a whole lot of me talking. And yeah, there's a few things in here that I would love to do as just videos. So stay tuned for those if I did not get those answers out. And I do apologize to the answers where like I didn't have an answer. Like it's a terrible way to like participate in an AMA, but I've tried. I honestly tried my best here. But thank you guys for watching, and hopefully you made it through this. Wow, it's a lot of recording. Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.